Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Systems and Workflow Magic Podcast. I am your Systems and Workflow BFF and guide, Dolly DeLong, and I have a question to ask you, the listener. If you are running the show on your own, meaning if you are running your business on your own, which I know many of you are, so I bet I can take a bet that your battery at one point or another has run low or is running low, but yet you have to show up and be your own marketing team by not only showing up consistently on social media, but showing up to serve your clients and your audience. Believe me, I have hit these walls myself a countless numbers of times. And so on today's podcast, I have a really, really special guest, but I just wanted to share with you, even though I am trying to systematize as much as possible for my own business, I am still human. I get drained during my batching weeks. I have two little ones. And I am also balancing life as a photographer too, not just a systems and workflow educator, but as a photographer. And so I logically know I have very limited time to work. I don't have a marketing team working for me. It's just Dolly. Now, and I don't want to ever come across as hypocritical and be like, oh, it's all great because I only work 15 minutes a week because of all of my systems and workflows, and I'm never tired, and I'm bringing in like $1 million a day and because of systems, and I'm the Energizer Bunny. And so if you follow this path, you'll do the same. I never want to come across as that because that's false. But the fact and reality is, I do, in one hand, I love systems, not only because they help me get organized, but they help me stay sane with my insane schedule. So I guess I'm leading up to this question I want to ask you all. You don't have to call me in and answer me, just track along with this podcast episode, okay? What happens when your insane schedule, even though it may be systematized, is running low on battery life, all right? What do you do then as a small business owner? You certainly don't have a marketing team that can step in and do everything for you, and you certainly don't want to disappear off the face of the planet and be inconsistent. So, that's why, again, I have invited my friend Caitlin Wilcox on the show today. She is going to talk about this very topic and give us a new way, a new strategy and system we can use and utilize when we are facing very, very low batteries in the midst of busy seasons, in the midst of maybe seasons where we can't be at our desk as often as we want to be, and in the midst of chaos. So I know that was a very long introduction, but I am just so excited to have Caitlin on the show today. Caitlin, welcome to the show. Do you mind introducing us to who you are, who you serve, and what you do?
Yes, hi. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I am just as excited to be here. I'm Caitlin Wilcox, and my husband and I, David, we own Caitlin Wilcox Photography and CSC Photography. So we're wedding photographers based in Virginia, and I also am an educator for small business owners, and I love to help small business owners and creatives seize their opportunity for growth and success. And I'm so excited to chat with all of your listeners today, because it's true what you say. Even if you're not an introvert, if you're just running the show on your own, like you said, your cup is so full, and a lot of times that's so draining on your social battery or just your battery in general, right? We can't all be the Energizer Bunny. There's only one.
There's only one. Well, Caitlin, I am so excited to have you on the show. I know before we hit record, just to all the listeners, this is the power of social media and the power of referrals and people connecting people. We were connected by a mutual friend. Hey, Jamie Fisher. She connected me and Caitlin and I together. And so it's been fun following Caitlin on Instagram, getting to know her, but now we get to meet via Zoom, not face to face, but via Zoom. That's the next best thing right now. And I'm just so excited to finally connect with you and learn a new system or a new way to think about how to market myself when my battery is running low. And I know what you have to offer is going to bless a lot of listeners, not only on this week's episode, but whenever they find this episode, it's going to help them out a lot. I just know it.
Well, I'm so excited. Next time I'm in Nashville, we'll have to do this like face to face.
I know, that would be so much fun. I would genuinely love that so much. Okay, so Caitlin, let's get to the heart of this episode. And I say this almost in every single episode, but as a reminder to all my listeners, I like to treat each episode as a mini mastermind, meaning I want you to walk away with tangible tips and either systems, workflows, SOPs to start integrating in your business now or this week, or you can start assessing what systems you need to integrate based off of the episode. So I am so excited to jump straight into the heart of this message.
Yes. Okay, so my first tip for you all is it's going to sound crazy, but I only create content when I feel like creating content. Now, this sounds insane because, like you said, we want to stay consistent in our social media. But if I'm only creating content when I'm up to these social interactions, when my battery is at its fullest, then this way I'm presenting my best self, my best mindset to my audience at all times. Now, for me, this looks like as an introvert, I do not like to be like constantly on social media with all of these interactions. But as a business owner, my cup is so full of tasks, right? There are so many things that we need to get done in our business. I don't have time to spend 5 hours a day just interacting and showing up on my stories and posting constantly, right? So I'm only creating content when I'm up to these social interactions. For me, I'm a kind of person, I don't like to live on my phone, right? Do you feel like that, Dolly?
I feel like I'm walking always a fine line of like I say to my husband, like, this is like going to be like a little therapy session. I realize I say to my husband, like, if I did not have my businesses, I would not be on social media. But yet
Yeah.
he's like, I don't believe you, because he sees like there's like a little bit of my personality that loves interacting and connecting with people, and I genuinely love people and just love connecting with other people. But there is a part of me now, the older, it's not like I'm like 80 years old, but the older I'm getting, I'm just like, oh, this is a lot. This is very draining. And now my focus and attention is more on my boys, and my priority is with my boys. But I do like, there are some days where I'm like, oh, I have to get on social media. Like, I have to connect. And so I don't like having those feelings of I have to do this. It's that's where I'm like, I feel like I'm like walking that fine line some days.
Exactly. I feel kind of the same way. Like, even as like a high schooler, I had the
Yeah.
social media, but I was the kind of person that I like to look at everybody else's stuff and
Mhm.
not post my own. And I don't have kids. My husband and I, we don't have kids yet. But my first instinct whenever I'm out in public isn't let me take a story of this.
Mhm.
It's let me soak it in. Let me enjoy
Mm.
the moment. And then once I get home, I'm like, man, that could have been a good story. So this goes back to that tip one, where if I'm feeling up to creating the content, then that's whenever I'm pulling my phone out. That's whenever I'm taking a story of like my Chick-fil-A nuggets and everything. So I don't have to do it every single time. It's just whenever I think about it and whenever I am intentionally creating, like that's whenever I am like showing up.
Gotcha. Then my
Yeah.
question for you is, I'm sure you're going to get into this
Yeah.
in like the next points, but I'm just like curious, like, what happens when you are, not to say this has happened to you, but what in the scenario would you suggest to a creative minded business owner who is running the show on their own, and they
Yeah.
know that one of their main marketing channels is a social media platform, but what if like 90% of that month they're like, I don't want to show up. but yet they need to, like, what then? Are you going to answer that question?
Yes,
Okay, good.
actually. So that kind of brings me to my
Okay.
second point. So that was a great segue.
Yeah. Oh, that was
um,
unintentional, everyone listening in. That was totally unintentional. I was just like curiously asking.
No, no, that's great because whenever I am intentionally showing up, I am creating multiple forms of that content. Right. So if I am at Chick-fil-A, I'm a big Chick-fil-A person. So I'm going to reference that a lot in this
Yeah.
episode. Whenever I go to Chick-fil-A and I'm like, oh, yeah, I need to take a story of this, right? I'm taking at least two pictures or videos, or two pictures and two videos, multiple forms of content where one could be like a picture of the speaker. One could be a picture of like the Chick-fil-A building. One could be like a selfie with my chicken nuggets, anything like that. And I am posting one now, and then I am putting the other two in a folder on my phone. That way I can access it whenever my social battery is low. I don't have to physically create that content. Or if I forget to the next time I'm at Chick-fil-A, I can reference it, pull it up, post it on my social media, and I can cross it off of my to-do list, so to speak.
Yeah, no, I love that so much. And I know I don't think we're gonna get into this, but like this just makes me think of, there are many female-based business owners, okay, females, who base their content creation off of their cycle.
Mm.
And this sounds to me like, what I'm not saying this is what you do, but I'm like, this is like something that they female business owners do when they're like, oh, I try to create the majority of my content when I'm like based off of my, like when I'm have the most energy, so that during my time of the month, like where I'm like at my lowest, I like hate everyone, or like all the raging hormones are like, like they feel like they are like the realest feelings ever. You don't have to create
Yeah.
content in those moments because you're already so drained. So I was thinking, wow, like that is like, that's so true. Cause for me personally, again, I'm speaking from my experience. I have been trying to track my own cycle and my own energy levels throughout the month. And so I know when my peak, I don't know, like peak extroverted personality, just like energy is, so that I can do this exact thing you're doing right now. And I know we didn't really bring up cycles or anything, and everybody's different. Everybody's hormone levels are different. So I don't want to like get a hateful DM in my Instagram, like you don't know me, Dolly. No, I don't know you. I'm just saying this is what works for me, and I'm just trying to relay this to,
That's so interesting. I've
yeah.
never heard of that. It
It's,
makes so much sense though.
yeah, like about like
Yeah.
I'm a big like podcast consumer myself. And the first time I ever heard about working around your cycle as a female business owner was like maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. And it was very interesting to me. And I am, this is really lame, but sometimes I'm a late adopter to things just because I like push things off and push things off.
Yeah.
And I finally, so this year is like the year I've decided I'm going to start adopting that and see like how that fits into the way I create content with my
Yeah.
cycle.
That makes so much sense to me though.
Mhm.
Even just like not from like an energy perspective, but
Yeah.
like as an introvert, I am so prone to like nitpick everything. So
Mhm.
like closer to my cycle, I break out a lot.
Yes.
And I will sit in front of my phone for like an hour saying like, oh, like I hate this video because like this like giant pimple is on my chin,
Yes.
or like whatever. So planning that is so interesting. I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to like you're gonna have to DM me which
I
podcast this was gonna
I will.
have to listen to it.
It was so interesting and so like eye-opening for me. I know I have some male listeners. I'm sorry. Like we will speak to you soon, very soon, but mostly this is for the female-based listeners like who need that, maybe like this could be encouraging to you to like just like track your cycle and like see when your, yeah, when your energy levels are, and
Yeah.
also like when you're, yeah, because also sometimes my energy levels come out and that impacts if I'm going to show up as introverted or if I'm going to show up as extroverted.
Right. Yep. That was such a productive tangent.
I know.
I love that.
I thought for some reason, I thought you were gonna like go into that, and I was like, oh, she's gonna
No.
bring that up. And so no, like that, but yeah, I will send over the information I do have, but I am currently learning how to
Yeah.
track everything. And it's very, very interesting.
Mm, that sounds really interesting. I'm excited.
Yeah, definitely. But
um,
I think what
yeah.
you do, like, when it sounds to me like you know your personality very well, and you
Mhm.
know your own, like, cycles of personality, like, and so or cycles of energy. And so it's good that you can read yourself enough to say, okay, I have like this amount of energy. I'm going to do this because I know I need to market myself. And so that way you're not pressuring yourself to show up like every single day.
Right, because if you only have like 20% battery, there are so many important things that you and your business need
Mhm.
to spend that time and energy on. So if you can spend 1% instead of 5% or more on creating that social media content because it's already done for you and you just have to pick it out of a folder, slap a caption on it, and then post it. Or you can make it more engaging. I'm going to go back to Chick-fil-A again,
I
Dolly.
love it.
Um,
Did you, just to let you know, the DeLong family, we love some Chick-fil-A, and it's like,
yes.
I don't know why, but Blaze is my oldest, and he's
Yeah.
obsessed with Chick-fil-A, and we had to break it to him. He finally understood a couple of years ago. He's almost 5 now, but a couple of years ago, when he was like 1 or 2, he did not understand why it was closed on a Sunday, and we had to, like, constantly remind him, like, every single day, like, "It is closed on a Sunday. Don't be upset when we drive by after church and it's closed." And now he lets us know. He lets us know, "Hey, just a reminder, mommy and daddy, it's closed on
You
Sunday."
know, I need him to remind me of that too because I get unnecessarily upset on on
Like
Sundays when I can't have
just rage fills
yes.
you. You're like, Why is this closed?" Oh yeah, it's
Especially,
totally.
so we shoot like 50 to 60 weddings a year in the
Mhm.
season.
Yeah.
And especially since we have two brands. And so a lot of times, like, we'll have a Saturday wedding and then we'll have a Sunday wedding. And it is like a tradition for me to get Chick-fil-A after a wedding. And if we have a Sunday wedding, I can't get it. And I am so
And
angry.
you're, like, full of rage. They should
I
have,
know.
like, a special Chick-fil-A, like, drive-through for wedding photographers or creatives who work on Sundays, and, like, that is their end goal, like, at the end of the event. Chick-fil-A, I'm just giving you all an idea. I don't know if anybody's gonna listen to it, but
Nobody's going to do that, but it's a
that's
good
an
thought.
idea.
I love
Well,
it.
that's good to okay, so you're going back to the Chick-fil-A analogy.
So, if I have that Chick-fil-A, like, speaker photo in my Photos app and I didn't post it before, or even if I did post it before, your audience isn't gonna remember,
Mhm.
because they're not as closely connected to your content as you are.
That's true.
So I can post um, that speaker picture on my stories. If it's a Sunday, I can be like, "Man, like, Chick-fil-A is closed. I wish I could have it." And I could put a question box, that's like, "Tell me, what you order, like, what's your go-to Chick-fil-A order?" And that instantly makes that, um, content that you already produced, probably, like, even, like, months ago, more engaging, and it spent, like, 1% of your energy.
That's so, so good. Now, I am just curious, Caitlin, and again, I like ask a lot of questions on the spot, and you can be like, Dolly, you did not prepare me for this. But I,
Oh, I love it.
as an introverted creative business owner, how do
Mhm.
you navigate then how to market your business? Like, you're even marketing yourself in person at weddings. So how do you navigate that?
So I think that a lot of it is just knowing your own social battery limits, right?
Mhm.
Knowing, so especially like on a wedding day, right?
Mhm.
It's very people heavy, right? And
Mhm.
especially people heavy that I've never met, which
Yeah.
can be extra scary for introverts. So I know that whenever I like start a wedding day, probably like, 90% battery power because I didn't just wake up, maybe there was traffic on the way, maybe there's like a line at Starbucks. So I'm probably starting the day at 90% and I go through the day. I know approximately where my battery level should be. And during the reception, I know that dinner can be a little bit more of like a quieter time where I can recharge a little bit. I know that I can step away, especially since my husband is my second shooter. He can take over dance floor photos for a minute while I edit our same day slideshow, or if I like go to the bathroom real quick, or I sit and have a piece of cake, and I can recharge myself to a point where I need to be to finish the wedding day off strong. And I don't work after the wedding day. So like on the car ride home, I'm not culling because that's just going to drain my energy and I'm not going to be able to recharge the way I need to show up for Sunday's wedding or work on Monday morning.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
so the reason why I'm asking this is like I'm trying to get the listeners to really hone in on their like in really knowing yourself and your
Yeah.
personality and your battery levels. Like, Kaylin, I don't know if you know this about me, but I have a master's in professional counseling. So that was my past self.
Oh,
Like I
fun.
used to work in the higher education and then work like in a counseling setting, but I am really big on like, you really need to know yourself. You really need to know not only your strengths and your weaknesses, but like, what are your tipping points? Because I really think it's good and professional to stay kind and consistent to everyone, like when you're interacting with them.
Yeah.
And like, but how do you know when you're at that baseline and you're like, I don't know if I have it in me anymore, like that I'm at 5% and it's getting dangerously low. And so that you don't like explode at this poor guest who just I don't know, just asked you a weird question, but you don't want to do that. But I was I just want to remind listeners like it's really, really important to like if you are going to be in any type of business where you are interacting with people, know yourself. Know yourself really well, know your capacity. It sounds to me like Caitlin and her husband, they know their capacities even as I don't know if your husband's introverted, but you say you're introverted, like but yet you show up for 50 to 60 weddings a year and you do it
Yeah.
really well. And so I just want to encourage listeners like you can do this. Like you just got to get to know yourself and like know your capacity, know your limits and like and then of course listen to Caitlin about how to show up when like for your marketing, especially if you're doing this on your own.
Yeah. I'm glad that you mentioned that because my husband Devin, he's an extrovert.
Oh, that's
So
where
he
that balance
thrives.
comes in.
Yes. So
Okay.
yeah, he thrives at weddings. He loves interacting with like all of these people. He likes to describe his job as like he gets to go to people's parties
Yes.
and like take pictures of them, whether they like it or not. So it's really nice that we can have that trade off where I'm like more detail oriented and he's more like people focused. So,
Yeah. Yes.
um,
Well, that's
but I
good.
know that not everybody has that luxury. So
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad that you have that good balance, that yin and yang in your business. That's really, really good. Okay. I know we've been talking a lot about just like how to kind of like essentially batch out your content based on your energy levels. So that kind of leads us into how you batch, correct?
yes. So
Okay,
like my
yeah.
third tip is that I like to call it soft batching because to me batching like an entire month's worth of Instagram posts seems like super tiring and a lot for me. So I like to take soft batching and focus on like a week or two. And I do those on I call these my social days. So like today, right, I have a podcast interview. I just had a podcast interview before this for my own show. I have calls after this. Like it is a social day for me. So I know that I'm already on, right?
Mhm,
Um and for me personally, right, I like to be on and then I like to be off. Like I like to
mhm.
have a whole day where I'm not doing anything. So like Thursdays is like editing for me.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so on those social days, I'm soft batching my content and I'm especially soft batching my like talking to my camera Instagram stories.
Mhm.
So if I know that I'm going to be posting about this thing in my business, or I want to share a tip, or I need to promote my YouTube video, then I am taking that Wednesday or Tuesday, because I have community choir on Tuesday, so that's another social day for me.
Oh,
I'm
that's
taking one of
fun. That's
yes.
fun.
So, which I guess is another kind of tangent. Like I have a big like performance background,
Mhm.
so it's really easy for me to like switch on
Mhm.
and kind of like fake it till I make it.
Yeah.
So that's important. Like take everything I say with a grain of salt, and your listeners, like they may be a little bit different in terms of what is their social battery. So just listen to yourself.
Yes. Listen to yourself. Yeah.
Yes,
But I love that
listen
so
to yourself.
much. That is a
Yes.
very cool fact about you. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't talk about it a lot, but yeah, my undergrad degree is in law and politics, but I wanted to go into like music education because like I was a
Mhm.
child actress. I have a huge like
Wait,
choral
you
background.
were a child actress?
Yeah, so like I did like professional like regional theater shows and like got paid for that and
Gotcha.
like modeling and everything. It wasn't
Wow.
huge. Like I auditioned for the Hunger Games, but I was not cast. So
That
yeah.
is I still think that's a really cool fact. That's so fun.
Yeah, I don't talk a lot about it a lot, but yeah, it that kind of forced me, or maybe not forced is the right word, but taught me
Mhm.
as a young child growing up how to like present myself in a more confident way, even if I
Mhm.
like didn't feel like it. So I
Yeah.
think that's important to note as well. Um, but yeah, so on these like social days, I am taking all of my like talking to the camera stories. That way I don't have to think like, oh man, I have to pull out my phone and talk to my camera again. And I just want to like be editing on the couch. I'm so tired. Um, or like any of this. It's already done for me. Throw it on Instagram. I put like the little captions on it and it's done for me.
I love that so much. So you call that soft batching.
Yes.
I
Because
love
I think that yeah, batching like a whole month is just scary to me. So I soft batch it
that.
so it's a little bit easier to chew.
I know that we were talking right before we hit record. Everyone, Caitlin was asking me how my batching week is going because this week, well, the day we're recording, I am currently in the midst of my batching week, and it's very intense. And by the end of every day, I've
Yeah.
been very low on my battery, but then I'm like, I need to be on again because I toddlers don't care if you have a 1% battery life or if you have a 100% battery life. They're like, we're going.
Yeah.
We need to go, mom. And so I've been, which is another reason, like, I think it's really important just to like know your personality, know your limits. Don't push yourself like, um, especially if you know like you might like blow up or melt. I don't know. I don't know, but I just know myself. And so I knew that 2 to 3 podcast interviews per day for like a 2 to 3 period, like first day of the month or first day of the quarter is my limit. And then like maybe one podcast interview a week with other people, on other people's
Yeah.
podcasts. So, that is, I do like, maybe I need to like read myself more and like do like more soft batching, but I do like that term a lot, Caitlin.
Yeah. Well, I think that it goes back to like me like knowing myself. So like I
Yeah.
know that like 1 day a week, like 2 days a week, that's like what I can give
Yes.
and still be able to show up on the weekends
Mhm.
for my weddings. So I think that it's so much better to take that day and create all of this content, because if you're trying to push yourself every single day to show up and be present and be happy and professional and just really on
Yeah.
and on with your best self every single day in your business, then you're going to grow exhausted and just completely like go off of the face of the planet for however long you need to recover. And so if you have it all done, then you don't have to worry about that.
That's really good. Now, I know we don't have this in our notes, but how do you organize all of this?
Yeah, so I'm a big pen and paper kind of
Okay.
person. So I have a whiteboard in my office that's like, um, it, this isn't like on video, is it?
Oh no, this isn't on.
Okay.
No,
I was about to say.
we are seeing each other, but this won't be on video. No.
Yes. Okay, great. I was going to reference like the calendar behind you because
Yeah.
I have my quarterly plan too.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, so I have like a monthly calendar and
Mhm.
I will write out like all of the YouTube videos that I am like posting. I have like my own podcast. So we alternate YouTube podcast, YouTube podcast.
Gotcha.
That way I know that that's one thing that I need to talk about. And if I have like a wedding that's coming up, then I can talk about this engagement session and maybe like a tip that like went into having it be as good as it was. So
Mhm.
I'm like softly planning like what I need to talk about. And if I am scheduling like all of my Instagram posts on those 2 days, then I know this is something that I am posting. This is something that I need to share in my stories as well.
Gotcha. Can I ask you
Yeah.
another question? Sorry,
Yeah.
Caitlin, if I'm overwhelming you.
This is your show, Dolly.
I know, but I don't
You
want
can
to
ask me all the
overwhelm
questions.
you. Okay, so when you say soft
No, you're good.
batching, do you when you
Yeah.
have the energy, like when you know, like, okay, this is like it's coming, my energy is coming, I'm at 95%, I'm gonna do some batch work. Do you intentionally batch only Instagram stories or Instagram content, or do you take that energy and do you do YouTube videos and podcasts, or do you do these soft batching for the podcast and the YouTube videos? Like, do you do those weekly or biweekly? Like, how does that? Because I
Yeah.
know that's long form content. I'm big on
Mhm.
batching out long form content, but then I know like everybody has their own system, so I'm just curious what your system is.
Yeah, no, that's great. A great question. So I am doing Wednesdays, right? So
Okay,
I have a mastermind on Wednesday. So I have to show up. I have to be able to like give into that. And so that is whenever I am soft batching all of my social media content, but
mhm,
I'm also soft batching my YouTube and my podcast. So
gotcha.
typically it looks like scheduling in the morning. I'm not a morning person, totally.
Oh,
So I like warm up by scheduling out like my posts, and
mhm.
then I'll have my calls, and then right after my call is whenever I do all of my like talking to my camera stories, and then a little bit later at night is whenever we batch out like 2, maybe 3 if I'm feeling up to it, weeks of that long form content.
Gotcha. I was just
Yeah.
curious what that system looked like for you. And so
Yeah.
listeners, like, if you are following along, like take note, like there is no one perfect roadmap for systematizing the way you batch out your content. I think there is wisdom and like there is wisdom in planning ahead and making sure that you have like if you do have a YouTube channel or a blog or a podcast or any type of long form content that is more evergreen, make sure that you're not doing those off the fly of your like fly by the seat of your pants, however the phrase goes, because that then it
Yeah.
won't happen. It won't be consistent. But make sure, like I always try to stress this, like create a system that works for you, and that you know you will still show up consistently. So Caitlin does
Right.
her soft batching on Wednesdays, and then I do
Mhm.
my batching. I try to do batching, like intense batching, once a quarter, like for the
Mhm.
next 60 to 90 days, because I just know that's based on my both of my sons their schedules now, and or if I'm able to just like batch out once a month at the top of the month. So I just like all
Yeah.
again, it just like depends on one, it depends on our energy levels. It depends on our sometimes our spouse's schedules. It depends on
Yeah.
our cycles. Like depending on like if you go that route. So again, if you hear anything, hear this like there is no perfect way, but there you can learn from other people and like you might apply Caitlin's system and it may work perfectly for you. So that's why I try to invite people who have like different systems and workflows and that works for their personality. So you're probably like, Dolly, yes, we know that. Okay, don't repeat that anymore. Okay, sorry. It's just my mom coming
It
out.
is so important to repeat, though. It is so important to repeat because just because I do things one way or you do things one way
Yeah,
doesn't mean that that's great for your life and your
yeah,
business.
yeah,
So take everything like as like a little nugget.
yeah,
You don't have to take
exactly.
everything.
Exactly, and we live
Yeah.
I think about my best friend and I were talking about this the other day, not, like, about business-related stuff, but she okay, this is gonna age me. We both went to there's a story behind this. So we both grew up in Montana. We both graduated from Montana from high school, and we went to our 20th yes, our 20th high school reunion in August. And we both were like, just like catching up because, best friend time and no kids. She has 3 boys. I have 2 boys. And we were like, this is the best. We get to just like hang out and not worry about kids. We love our boys, but we can just catch up. Anyways, it came up in conversation like how draining sometimes culture can be in that if somebody gives an opinion about something, it's like truth. Like it's truth. And if you don't do it that way, then you're a failure. And that's the case in point with motherhood, with parenting, with being married. Like if you don't do it my way, then you that's it. You're gonna fail. And so I always try to make sure people know like, hey, these conversations that I'm leading every week, either with a guest or solo episodes, like these are things that have either worked for me, worked for other people's systems, workflows, but that doesn't mean it's like set in stone. Like find what would work for you. Maybe take like Caitlin said, like nuggets here, nuggets there, and then apply it to your life. But if this does not help you, like you're not a failure. And like remember, like social media is really loud because everybody has their opinion about literally everything. And then if you don't agree with it,
Yeah.
their feelings are hurt. Like, come on, people. So again, that's my counselor coming out. This is a little therapy session with Dolly as well. Like, it's okay to like take your time and figure out what works best for you in systems of batching. So, anyways, I'll get off that tangent. But that just made me think of that conversation I
Yeah.
had. Yeah.
No, I love that because I
Yeah.
think that it's important to remember that we're all human, right?
Yeah.
And it's important to allow ourselves grace through this. There are weeks where my soft batching looks a lot less than some weeks, and I do
Mhm.
not show up exactly the way that I need to. And my businesses, they're still up and running. They haven't fallen apart just because I took like a little bit of a week off. So
Yeah.
it's important to like remember like yes, consistency is important, but so is your mental health and
Mhm.
just your humanness is important. So allow yourself grace. You don't have to be perfect with this because nobody is.
Mhm. Yes, and if people are presenting themselves as perfect online, just remember they're not, and they probably have, like, a team of 10 people working with them to help
Yep.
them. So, just remember that. There's always a story behind the story. Alright, Kaylin, I feel like we went on so many tangents, and I learned so much about you in this episode.
Same.
Well, thank you so much.
I was like, so many things.
I know. I am so
Yeah.
excited for my listeners to engage with you now and to follow you. So that brings me to my question of where
Yeah.
can people find you, follow you, work with you? Tell us more about your YouTube channel and your podcast.
Yes. So they can follow me on Instagram at Caitlin Wilcox Photography, and that's CAITLIN. I feel like I always have to spell my name because Caitlin has like 20 billion
Oh,
spellings.
yeah. There's like
So
K and then there's like C. Yeah. There's like
it's like
variations of
I's and
it.
E's and
Yeah.
Y's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sorry if that's annoying, but yeah, Caitlin Wilcox Photography. My website is caitlinwilcoxphotography.com.
Mhm.
You can also, I have a free guide that can help walk you through your own like little like batching setup for creating personal content in your business. It's
Yeah.
called 5 personal content ideas for when your social battery is low. So that's on my website, caitlinwilcoxphotography.com /person personal dash content dash freebie.
Yeah.
And
I
I'm sure
got
you'll
it.
probably You'll
I'll
link that in the show notes, I'm
yeah, I
sure.
will link that in the show notes
Yes.
for sure.
Yes. And then my podcast is called Operation Carpe Diem with Caitlin Wilcox. And then my YouTube channel is just Caitlin Wilcox.
Awesome. What do you talk about on your YouTube channel? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so we talk a lot about business, life as an introvert, and just how to grow your opportunity for success. So
That
talk a
is
lot about like,
fun.
yes, it's a lot of fun.
Okay, well, I'll
Yeah.
link everything you mentioned in the show notes so that people can subscribe to your YouTube channel, your podcast, and follow you on Instagram. You all, Kaylin is like a very talented photographer, so you're gonna want to follow her, and especially if you are planning a wedding and you're looking for a photographer, just reach out to Kaylin. And then
Shameless plug.
I know, seriously. Shay,
Yeah.
I will plug everyone that I'm like, they are talented. I'm gonna plug them. So Kaylin, I just want to thank you again for being on the Systems and Workflow Magic podcast. And for those of you who are joining us, thank you again for following along this episode. I know we took a lot of twists and turns, but we just like wanted to share with you like different systems of like being intentional with your content because that will affect your marketing. But overall, like we just want you to take care of yourself and know yourself really well. So as you navigate owning a business on your own. So anyways, as always, everything that we spoke about will be in the show notes. And if you enjoyed this podcast episode, be sure to reach out to me, reach out to Caitlin, let her know. And I'm sure that will be super encouraging to her. It's always fun and encouraging to get like comments in Instagram and social media about how specific episodes have been helpful. So you guys, like words of affirmation, that helps a lot. All right. Until next time, have a streamlined and magical week, you amazing muggles, you. I will see you all next week for another systems, SOP, and workflow related podcast. Bye.